Introduction to Inuyasha's longevity journey. Travel through the modern world where Inuyasha is located, and see how mortals dominate 2 eras. No system. It's annoying to see the system. Chapter 1, Rebirth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This book fictionalizes history and focuses on the world of Inuyasha monsters. On a summer night in June, a small courtyard on the peninsula was located where a new little life was born. The little guy's name is Li Xia. In my past life, I was a member of the Communist Youth League and a 3 good youth in China. In this life, he traveled with the memories of his previous life to become a member of the Bangzi Kingdom on the peninsula. At first, Li Xia thought that her life would be spent in mediocrity. Until the age of 5, the family tested the innate talent of every eligible child until he witnessed the extraordinary and bizarre methods with his own eyes. He suddenly realized that he was not reborn in the ordinary world of his past life, but in an extraordinary world with demons and supernatural mages. At that time, he saw several elderly people in the clan sealing visible ghost items in several talismans. Witnessed the majestic appearance of the Shirshan. I saw the scene of the wind and clouds changing color as I waved my hand. It can be considered a divine skill. In the past life, there were no incidents of ghosts or gods. At least he has never encountered it before. But in this world of this life, he is clear that there are ghosts and gods. Witness it with your own eyes. As a result, his ambition sprouted. The original Buddhist heart became restless and restless. What does being extraordinary mean? Of course it is immortality. Eternal life represents infinite possibilities. However, his father Li Jun has some flaws. You should know that a person who can practice has different blood vessels in their body compared to ordinary people. In order to maintain this bloodline characteristic, the practitioner family generally adopts children who have shown cultivation talents since childhood as child brides or son-in-law. By combining this bloodline, maintain one's own advantages. Therefore, there are few examples of practitioners combining with ordinary people. After all, this is not only responsible for oneself, but also for future generations, and also for the family. Few people violate this taboo. Cheap Father Li Jun is one such exception. As someone with a natural talent for cultivation, the target we are looking for is not a mage with the same cultivation qualifications, but an ordinary human. This has led to the already unbeatable bloodline qualifications becoming even more mediocre. Indeed, Li Xia had to thank this cunning old man. After all, if it weren't for this troublemaker, how could there have been a rebirth with memories of his past life? No matter how poor his qualifications are, he can only recognize by pinching his nose. It's always better to start than someone without cultivation qualifications. It is necessary to mention the Li family on the peninsula here. The Li family, known as one of the 3 great mage families on the peninsula, has the responsibility of exorcising ghosts and evil spirits. Mages, also known as the group of people who possess extraordinary skills, can absorb special energy factors from the heavens and earth according to the program provided by the martial arts. Through meticulous polishing, these energy factors can be transformed into magical true elements stored in their own bodies, and used as a basis for casting extraordinary skills such as spells. Among them, the Li family has mastered the art of seal script. The principle of talismans is to use special materials to create talismans, talisman paper, and spirit ink that can carry magic. Then, with the help of talismans and spirit ink as media, some of the spells mastered by oneself are printed on the talisman paper by outlining spirit patterns. When needed, activate and cast it. It is equivalent to sealing the spell in advance into a specific talisman. A mage who specializes in talismans greatly compensates for the shortcomings of a cultivator's limited magical power and slow casting of spells. This inheritance originates from the mainland of China. It spread from the heavenly kingdom a long time ago. At that time, on the land, demons and evil spirits were rampant, and humans were the nourishment of demons and evil spirits. Thanks to the remembrance of the heavenly kingdom and the suffering of the human world, the tradition has been transmitted to the peninsula. Unfortunately, this inheritance is not complete. It was just a small gift from my father to my godson when I was a subsidiary of the mainland. And the Fu Dao ultimately belongs to the side gate branch. However, despite this, the Li family, a spiritual family on the peninsula, has also benefited from it for generations. Li Xia, as a member of the younger generation of the Fu Dao Li family, had the opportunity to engage with a more advanced cultivation system. However, limited by their own bloodline qualifications, they are not valued by the respected elders in their family, and are even often looked down upon. This is not. Time flies, 10 years have passed. Li Xia, who has been practicing hard for 10 years without avoiding the cold and heat, is still just a novice mage with only a few tricks due to not being able to enjoy the good systematic education that the family should have provided. This once made him feel discouraged and even hopeless. Xiaoxia, when will you depart for Tokyo? At a small family gathering, a refined middle-aged man wearing glasses spoke out and asked. This person is Li Xia's father, Li Jun. Wearing Taoist attire and elegant glasses, it feels a bit out of place. They are a family of 4, namely. The father Li Jun, the elder sister Li Qin, the second brother Li Yang, and the youngest Li Xia. As for the birth mother. Unfortunately, he died in a demon and ghost incident. That happened when Li Xia was over 6 years old. At that time, he was also powerless. And this is also a potential danger that ordinary practitioners who do not enter the mainstream must face. Father, can't we wait any longer? The young man with a youthful expression frowned slightly. Upon hearing this, middle-aged people whispered. On the island side, school has been starting for more than half a month. If you delay for a few more days, it will be even more difficult to adapt later on. Speaking of which, the middle-aged man paused. After a moment of contemplation, he let out another light sigh. Xiaoxia, let's put it down. I know you're very unwilling and want to be recognized by the main meridian. You really want to practice advanced techniques and become a master. I remember you even told me about your aspirations when you were a child. But we must be clear about our own situation. Our family has ordinary qualifications and is not suitable for following the main family's path of eliminating demons, guarding the path of exorcism, and eliminating evil spirits. Let's take good care of some of our family business and live a prosperous life. There's really no need to be too obsessed with extraordinary power. You see, so many ordinary people in the world can live happily without mastering extraordinary powers, and we can too. The family of practitioners generally has multiple branches. Those with outstanding talent, exceptional aptitude, and outstanding cultivation qualifications will be selected as the main lineage. If other individuals with average qualifications have limited future achievements, they will be classified as collateral members. The significance of the existence of collateral branches is to serve the main vein. Because no matter how hard they cultivate, their talent limits their limits. Therefore, the family will arrange for them to manage secular industries, provide nutrients to the main meridian, provide various cultivation materials, channels for obtaining materials, and various services to the main meridian. The main branch that holds power and power provides a certain degree of protection to many branches. For thousands of years, the Li family of the peninsula's talisman has been passed down in this way. The other families have also been passed down in this way. Li Xia initially hoped to become a member of the main lineage, enjoying both strength and power. Who doesn't want halo added? But his talent is limited. Currently, among the 4 members of the family, the older sister and second brother, who also have ordinary qualifications, have been allocated some resources and will take on the tasks released by the family. On the contrary, due to his young age, he will not be arranged by his family to manage the industry for the time being. No other tasks were assigned either. The father's intention in front of him is to send him to study in Tokyo and familiarize himself with all aspects of the island country, so that he can take over some of the family's industries in the island country in the future. Father, can't you arrange for my elder sister and second brother to go to the mainland as well? The boy muttered a mouthful. Although he was arranged by his family to learn some island languages a few years ago, it is clearly not as friendly as the languages on the mainland. Family education is different from exam-oriented system education. They learn things with a clear purpose. What to learn, what to mainly learn, and what to minor in are all very clear. And learning those things is aimed at facilitating communication with people, not for an exam or a score, therefore, his childhood was still very relaxed. At least it's much easier than 1,000 soldiers competing for a single wooden bridge in their previous lives. Do you also want to go to the mainland? The middle-aged man raised his eyebrows. Of course. The mainland has abundant resources and everything. On the other hand, Moon Island has nothing but women. At least in the world of Rebirth, the situation is like this. No, your elder sister and your second brother are going to study in mainland China to get in touch with the young talents of the heavenly dynasty, and to meet those elites in the same generation. Let's see if we can improve our bloodline genes. Your elder sister and your second brother are not easy at all. If you are arranged to go to Tokyo on Moon Island, there are no tasks to complete. Don't be so good at being cheap. As the upper kingdom of the heavenly dynasty, the mainland naturally needs to arrange for older and more capable people to pass by. Otherwise, why not be looked down upon by the young heroes of Shangua? Xiaoxia, your qualifications are the worst, so listen to your father's advice and go to the ordinary junior high school, on Moon Island. After graduation in a few years, you can try to take over the industry there. Wealth and prosperity are good for life, isn't it? Cheap Dad said to his bitter grandmother. Refuse the request of my youngest son to go to the mainland. After the great changes in the environment of heaven and earth hundreds of years ago, cultivation became increasingly difficult. Until now, there has been a trend of gradual recovery. During the 400 to 500 year period of the end of the Dharma, many shrines and temples on the island had long declined. In this situation, as a father, he did not expect his young son to marry him any talented daughter. Law. The other end of this dining table, carved with blue jade. After hearing about her father's arrangements, a young girl of 18 or 19 years old and another boy of similar age, Yu reading www.yuyukangshu.net, had a brighter smile. Both of them were extremely satisfied with their father's arrangement. After all, they can go to the heavenly kingdom with outstanding talents and land, instead of going to that small overseas country like I did. What else are they not satisfied with? Little brother, although Shenzhou is good, in fact, Moon Island is not bad either. The two of them chuckled and said. My eyes are filled with longing for the heavenly kingdom. Tisk. Li Xia's mouth curled up. He really didn't expect that the peninsula of this time and space, towards the divine side of this world, would have this highly respected attitude at present. It is hard to imagine this fictional time and space, without previous wars such as World War I and World War II. What kind of prosperous China is now, which seized the opportunity at a turning point in time without the occurrence of the Tupu incident, the Qing dynasty's entry into the country, the so-called imperial and scholarly co-governance of the world, and the so-called Opium War. At the same time, I have thought about many things from my past life. In their past lives, people on the peninsula not only always thought about ancient Chinese celebrities, but also about various traditional festivals in China. What is the reason behind this? Alright, you can set off tomorrow. You can't procrastinate anymore. Otherwise, those old guys will have to talk to me again. After a middle-aged meal, he lightly pecked a small glass of wine. Which school in Tokyo? Metasequoia Junior High School. P.S. This book may have some secondary settings, but they are all inferred based on the original anime or anime plot. For example, two worlds are parallel worlds, not the so-called same world with different timelines. In addition, both worlds have their own four-soul jade. Similar to Marvel's two worlds, two sets of infinite gemstones. For specific details, please refer to the following text. Chapter 2, Ollie, It's You. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mizugi Junior High School is an ordinary junior high school in Tokyo. Li Xia is in 3rd grade. Equivalent to the 3rd year of Chinese junior high school. He has been here for 3 days now. In 3 days, I met many classmates in the class one after another. But what's a bit strange is that there is a girl in the class called Sunset and Twilight Leaving, who always takes leave and misses classes, which also makes him unable to meet up. And through the mouths of many classmates in the class, he also learned that this young girl named Ollie has been a member of the Sunset Shrine for generations. Similar to his situation. Are there descendants of extraordinary cultivators? There aren't many people like this on the Moon Island now. If you have time, you can visit them at your doorstep. Having been in this world for over a decade, many memories of past lives have become blurred. He doesn't associate too much with sensitive people and things. Therefore, 2 more ordinary days have passed. As the first monthly exam in the 3rd year of junior high approaches, he is ready to take the last place in the entire class. At this moment, the girl named Sunset Leaving returned to the mundane campus life amidst the dust and wind. At the entrance of Lieutenant Colonel Shueishan, the 3 female classmates in the class showed surprised and happy smiles towards a girl who looked both unfamiliar and somewhat familiar. For the young girl named Sunset Separation, Li Xia, who was attending classes, always felt a sense of familiarity. Ollie, are you ready to come to school now? Among the 3 female classmates, the girl with short black hair took the initiative to say hello. This woman's name is Yujia, and she is a decisive and dominant girl. On the other hand, the girl wearing a light yellow headband and a black shawl with long hair also added, Ollie, because you have been on leave frequently lately, we are very worried, so we called your home to ask your grandfather. He told us that you have reached your waist again this time. So, is your waist really okay? The girl's name is Huali, and she is the one with the most delicate thoughts among several girlfriends. That's not all for now. The black fluffy curly long hair and some natural stupidity, Boumei, gave Ali a critical blow. Ali, I remember that your last leave was due to diabetes, which required hospitalization inspection. Are you all right? A few young girls, all standing tall and full of vitality. However, the words of the 3 best friends left Ali with black lines all over his head. She asked for a leave of course for a reason, but it was definitely not the reason given by the old man at home for diabetes or the reason for flashing back. It is very likely that these faults will fall on her grandfather himself. At that moment, a sunny and handsome young man rode his bicycle to the school gate. After a certain distance, they began to greet each other. Sunset classmate, your body doesn't matter anymore, does it? The 4 women heard the sound and turned their heads together to look. Ah, it's Hojo from Class B. He seems to be very concerned about Ali's appearance. The fire of gossip in the girl's heart burned rapidly, getting stronger and stronger. Hojo Jun. Ali was stunned for a moment, then politely smiled back at his old elementary school classmate and said, I'm almost fine now, thank you. The young man breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this. That's great. You're still so young, there's no need to work so hard. By the way, according to your grandfather, you have gout this time. As soon as these words were spoken, the smile on the girl's face stiffened. The corners of the mouth twitched uncontrollably. There is an impulse to immediately go home and ask my grandfather for an explanation. My grandfather is good at everything, but he won't give her some nice reasons for being forced to take leave. Flashing waist. Got diabetes. Gout. What kind of weird reasons are these for taking leave? Do you want it to be so unreliable? Oh, I almost forgot. Sunset classmate, please take this. The young man called Baishio took down a carefully prepared red gift bag from his bicycle and handed it to Ollie. This is my intention. Although it can't help, I still hope you are healthy and happy. God knows how long the young man has cherished this affection. The three best friends all showed an incredible expression upon seeing this. Immediately retreating a few meters away, leaving enough space for their private conversation. Not far away. Seeing all of this, Li Xia exclaimed, the naive feelings of adolescence. Based on his past experiences of more than 10 or 20 years of online baptism in the 21st century, it is not difficult to see that the young man's heart is already restless. When the young man went to the place where his bicycle was parked, the three best friends who had left at dusk immediately surrounded him again. Wow, Ollie, are you already dating Hojo classmates? In the painting, the blazing fire of gossip approached and asked. Ollie shook his head hastily. How could it be? I am so tired now that I have to collect the 4 soul fragments. How can I have that spare time? I accidentally shot the demon-breaking arrow over there and shattered the 4 soul jade, causing the precious jade to turn into tens or even hundreds of pieces. For those precious jade fragments, monsters are flocking to them. After all, it is a shortcut to quickly increase demon power. If left unchecked, the humans over there will be in dire straits. Because the bloody storm caused by the 4 soul fragments will affect many innocent people. Out of responsibility and guilt, she must collect all the fragments as soon as possible. After all, it was she who brought the 4 soul jade back to life, and it was also because of her that the treasure jade shattered into 100 or 10 pieces, thereby expanding the scale of the event. 4 soul fragments. What is that? Boumei asked in a puzzled voice. After realizing that he had slipped his tongue, Ollie shook his head. It's nothing. I won't say more afterwards. On the side, Li Xia, who had just passed by the 4th girl, couldn't help but experience a sharp contraction in her pupils after hearing the name 4 soul jade. At first, the steady breathing became increasingly thick and heavy at this moment. What did he hear? 4 soul jade. 4 soul fragments. Why does this thing sound so familiar to you? Wait, Rimu Li, isn't that Rimu Guwei? If I remember correctly, it's the female lead in the story of Inuyasha, right? He won't think much about the simple sunset. But sunset departure plus 4 soul jade plus there are traces of demons and ghosts appearing in this world plus an extraordinary system, he can't help but stop thinking too much. Bang bang. Bang bang. Li Xia felt that at this moment, his heart was beating a bit violently, and his small heart was beating a bit fiercely. He needs to be quiet. He wants to be quiet. When the 4th woman entered the teaching building, he, who had been holding his breath hard just now, let out a heavy breath and said, the world I am reborn in should not be the world of Inuyasha, right? If it really is, then the more he thought about it, the more excited he became. Because pursuing immortality in the world of Inuyasha may be difficult, but pursuing 1,000 years of longevity and transcending the world is not as difficult as imagined. Proper operation does not mean that one cannot live the same life as heaven and earth, and become the ruler of this world. Jiangshan. Beauty. That's just the lowest level pursuit. Those who possess power, wealth, status, and strength, the next pursuit will always be life expectancy. No one would think that such a person has a long life. Calm down, steady, calm down. The urgent task is to determine whether this world is the same as the Inuyasha anime world in his past life memories. The determined method is also very simple. Yu reading www.yuyukeangshu.net. That's just go to the Sunset Shrine at the girl's house and take a look. Inuyasha World, the story is set in the modern era of the island country in 2000 in the Warring States period 500 years ago. The main story is about a third-year junior high school girl named Ollie, also known as Sunset Govi, who accidentally travels through the bone-eating well of her own shrine and the passage connecting the two worlds, crossing time and space to reach the Warring States period of the demon world, Yiksha, a half-demon dog of mixed race with humans and demons, embarks on an adventure to search for the scattered 4 soul fragments scattered throughout the island country. As long as the existence of that well is confirmed. As long as the situation of Ali's family is confirmed. It is not difficult to determine whether this world is the world of Inuyasha. The 4-soul jade is formed by the fusion of the souls of the strongest witch in history, Tsuchiko, and the vast majority of elite monsters in the island country at that time. It is an extremely powerful spiritual treasure jade. Even a broken piece of debris has the function of greatly enhancing demonic power, bringing people back to life, and keeping their souls forever. As for the protagonist group, including Inuyasha from the male lead, Mithraea from the male lead, Ali from the female lead, Coral from the female lead, Pet Micah and 7 treasures from the female lead. Everyone is collecting 4 soul fragments while fighting against the big boss Nero. Finally, he defeated Nero and made a correct wish to the 4 soul jade, successfully making this spiritual treasure disappear from the world. The various disputes surrounding Baoyu have ended. Hey, Xia Jun, it's almost time for class. Where are you going? At the school gate, a classmate greeted Li Xia. Li Xia smiled and responded with a smile. There's something at home that needs to be taken care of. During the conversation, I took a taxi. Master, take me to the Sunset Shrine. Thank you. Chapter 3, Physical Face. Childhood Shadows. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The Sunset Shrine is located on a small hill in downtown Tokyo. Inherited for at least 300 to 400 years. It is the home of the female lead Ali. When Li Xia arrived, a wooden house in the courtyard group of the Sunset Shrine seemed to have caught fire, and at this moment, black smoke was rolling. What's going on? Li Xia was momentarily stunned, then quickly followed dozens of steps and walked towards the Sunset Shrine on the small hill. The big fire and everything else are secondary. He needs to first determine whether this world is the world he knows of Inuyasha, which is the most important. After climbing the small hill, Li Xia looked towards the place where black smoke was rising. There, a collapsed wooden house with a corner is gradually being engulfed by the flames. At present, the fire is still small, but if left unchecked, the flames will soon engulf that wooden house and even spread to the entire Twilight Shrine. Upon seeing this, Li Xia immediately shouted loudly, trying to catch the attention of the people inside the shrine. However, it seems that Ali's family members are not at home and have gone out, with no response at all. But he could clearly see that the door of the 2-story small building was not closed. In theory, there should be people from the Sunset home here. After all, there is no one who doesn't close the door when going out. And limited by the current era. It is now the year 2000, and mobile phones, a lightweight and convenient communication tool, have not yet emerged. Naturally, he cannot solve the problem with a single phone call. Mobile phones don't work, we can only use landline phones. So, without much hesitation, Li Xia bypassed the wooden house sealed with a well and the half-collapsed wooden house on fire, and rushed towards the 2-story small building of the Sunset home. During this period, he passed by a sacred tree over 20 meters high. And on the trunk of that sacred tree, he clearly saw an unhealed scar. After seeing the sacred tree and the basin-sized scar on the trunk of the sacred tree, he already understood that the world he is currently in is indeed the world he knows of Inuyasha. Therefore, his heart was filled with doubts. What's going on? If this is the Twilight Shrine of Inuyasha world, how could it catch fire for no reason? If it's not human-made fire, is it done by monsters? But it seems that neither the comics nor the anime of the past life have had such a large-scale attack on the Sunset home, where it was burned down and destroyed by monsters. In confusion, he had already entered the residence of the Sunset home through the open door, and soon found the landline installed in the living room to make a fire call, briefly describing the situation here. After finishing the phone call, he soaked himself up and down with cold water, and immediately rushed towards the burning warehouse wooden house with an iron basin filled with water, intending to use this most primitive way to put out the fire. To be precise, it's saving people. Without any accidents, the Sunset home was not alone, but trapped in the burning warehouse cabin. And at this point, he probably also judged the time. The Sunset home was indeed attacked by two monsters from the other world, the 100-legged demon woman and the reverse-hair Jelua, through the bone-eating well. However, that level of attack did not cause any substantial damage or casualties. On the contrary, it is the monsters inherent in this modern world that have truly attacked the Twilight Shrine. That is, the flesh and human face. Sure enough. As Li Xia approached the burning wooden house and splashed out a basin of water in her hand, a mask suspended in the flames. She then gave up her original goal and rushed straight towards him. "Give me my body, give me my body." This mask is the essence of the monster's physical human face. The face of its mask is stiff and gloomy, with a long knife mark in its right eye and a crack in its left mouth. It looks very strange. What a damn thing. Seeing this thing, Li Xia's expression immediately became solemn. In his past childhood, when he watched Inuyasha anime, he was left with a considerable psychological shadow by this mask monster, causing him to feel anxious when he saw the mask for a long time. At present, the real shadow of his childhood is attacking him. How can he calm down? If he remembers correctly, the ability of this masked monster with a physical human face is extremely destructive to ordinary people. Firstly, this monster is able to control its own free flight. Having flexible flying ability means being invincible in the face of ordinary people. Secondly, it can crack open from the middle of the face on the bridge of the nose, revealing sharp teeth, which is also its main means of attack. Thirdly, it can attach to the face of organisms and then feed into the brain, thereby controlling the target's body. After obtaining enough bodies, the physical human face can not only attach itself to one person, but also expand its mucus-like body through division to devour more creatures. Belongs to the type where the more you eat, the stronger your strength. Fortunately, the masked demon at this time does not yet have its own body, so it naturally cannot split its body and devour living creatures. Therefore, the combat effectiveness is very limited and singular. You can disregard the third point above. Be careful. You can't stick that mask on your face. Through a corner of the wooden house, a weak and elderly voice could be heard. That is the grandfather of Sunset Ali. The old man had previously noticed a fire in his warehouse and hurried to check the situation. It was discovered that the cause of this fire accident was the masked demon sealed by our ancestors. I don't know why the seal of our ancestors suddenly failed, but this monster escaped and was attacked by the other party. In a battle, he was pinned down by a broken beam and could only wait for rescue. Speaking of which, he thought he was doomed, but unexpectedly, someone noticed the fire and rushed over here. Although he can't see the situation outside now, he can hear some movement. Therefore, I did my best to provide reminders. Li Xia didn't have the time or energy to respond here. He only had time to take out the 6 talismans he had previously made from his arms for personal use. These 6 talismans are: the most basic powerful talisman, the agility talisman, the warding off evil talisman, and the divine wind talisman. As the name suggests, the Li Fu can greatly increase his strength. It is attached to the right arm. The quick and agile talisman is applied to the left face to increase reaction power and shooting speed. The exorcism talisman can ward off evil to a certain extent. It is posted on the right face of the person to prevent accidental possession by the human body. The other one is posted on the iron basin. If his strength is insufficient and he is defeated by this masked monster, he can only use the iron basin to hold his face for self-protection. Being a shrinking turtle or something is not shameful at all. The last 2 divine wind talismans can greatly increase movement speed and are attached to the legs. Having consumed 5 talismans in one breath, it shows Li Xia's level of importance towards the first monster he faced, while also secretly feeling heartbroken. After all, he has accumulated nearly a decade and only has 100 low-level talismans that can be used. As he watched as the physical mask of the human body was about to be killed, he did not retreat but instead advanced, facing the physical face flying towards him with a pen. He swung an iron basin and forcefully smashed it onto his face. Although he was not able to cultivate his talisman techniques to the point of home, his physical fitness is not at all low. On the one hand, the older generation of the Li family in the peninsula not only cultivate the runes and Taoist skills of their tribe, but also pay attention to the physical exercise of their people. On the other hand, it was Li Xia himself, who had understood the importance of physical fitness since childhood and was well aware of the weaknesses of the mage. Therefore, since the age of 5 or 6 when building the foundation, there has been no slackness, and the foundation has been built according to the Li family's method of refining the body. At the age of 12 or 13, when the foundation is basically solid, it is even more appropriate to increase the quantity. Compared to other elite members of the Li family, he is not a match for them, but in terms of physique and skills, he is not inferior to those so-called family elites at all. So, just as the ban was lifted, I immediately engaged in a fight with Ali's grandfather. Now that there was not much demon power left, the weakest physical human face was directly hit by an iron basin. Bang! The gloomy mask was deformed by his heavy blow. The talisman pasted on the iron basin instantly burned into a ball of paper dust. However, the physical body and face also felt uncomfortable, and they let out a painful groan. "Give me your body." After carrying the wave, the physical figure struggled to fly back from the ground and pounced again at Li Xia. Li Xia was frightened and her hair stood on end. At a critical moment, he flipped the iron basin over and aimed the rim at the masked demon. Following closely, he suddenly slammed the iron basin onto the ground. Then, with the help of his right arm, he exerted force and hit the iron bowl with a punch, forcefully causing its buttocks to sink. This doesn't even count. He gradually took out several exorcism talismans and powerful talismans from his pocket, and pasted all exorcism talismans on the edge of the sunken iron basin, while the powerful talismans were respectively pasted on his legs. Then one foot stepped on the iron basin that held onto the human body, while the other foot kept stomping down wildly. "Throw you a pugai." His heart was clearly flustered, yet he couldn't express the excitement. Chapter 4, For Soul Fragments Get 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The exorcism talismans pasted on the iron basin burned one after another, turning into fly ash. But in the end, 2 of them did not burn. The iron basin, which was almost flattened, was devoid of any further struggle. Even so, even though there was no further movement on the flesh and face under the iron basin, Li Xia still couldn't relax at all. On the contrary, he remained extremely vigilant and continued to output for half a minute without hesitation. He didn't give up until all the blessing symbols attached to him had lost their amplification effect. "Whew!" I exhaled a heavy mouthful of turbid air, suppressing my impatience and excitement, trying my best to calm my heart and calm my mood. Immediately, he took out all the exorcism talismans from his body. Stick it all on the iron basin. He was very clear that there was a 4-soul fragment embedded in the forehead of this monster. It was this 4-soul fragment that reacted with several 4-soul fragments left by Ali at home, which led to this incident. After all, it is not an exaggeration to attach great importance to monsters that have greatly enhanced their demonic power with their 4-soul fragments. Shouldn't it be stable now? But in the next moment, 2 rows of imprints suddenly appeared on the iron basin that had always been pressed down by Li Xia. That is the 2 rows of sharp teeth exposed after the flesh of the human face cracks along the line of the nose bridge. Even a basin made of iron can tear. The 2 rows of clear and ferocious tooth marks at the bottom of the iron basin are proof. In addition, the exorcism talisman that was originally pasted on the iron basin instantly burned more than half of it. Even more eerie is that the iron pot became extremely hot in a very short time, as if it had become a soldering iron. Undoubtedly, the silence before this masked monster was disguised. I was trying to trick him into moving the iron basin, and then I tricked him. Unfortunately, although Li Xia is just a cute new mage, he has a cautious heart. Why not install it? Perhaps sensing the miscalculation or feeling the threat of numerous exorcism talismans, the physical human face no longer held any chance and made a final counterattack. Humph. Li Xia snorted coldly. I took out a cold ice talisman from my pocket, enduring the pain. This ice talisman was not made by him, but by an elder from the Li family on the peninsula, who begged his own grandfather to obtain it. The cold ice talisman has exceeded the level of basic talismans, and without practicing related spells, he is naturally unable to make it, so he has been tightly controlled by his treasure. He only has 4 intermediate talismans in his hand. Considering that he is about to harvest a 4-soul fragment, or even the first Shirshin, he naturally cannot nitpick. Take action when it's time to do so. One is not enough to stick to. With the cooling effect of the cold ice talisman, the iron sheet heated by the physical human face's demonic power instantly became extremely cold. Even the surrounding area of 5 or 6 meters is covered with a layer of frost. Then, the mask of repression under the iron basin ushered in another round of stormy stampede. 10 times. 20 times. 30 times this round of trampling has turned an iron basin into an irregular piece of metal. He felt that the mask, which was pressed against the physical human face below, was about to be smashed and shattered by him through this layer of iron sheet. Low sob, low sob. In the distance, the sound of the fire truck's whistle could be heard. After hearing the sound, Li Xia frowned slightly. He had originally planned to smash it for another 3 to 5 hours. But as the firefighters are approaching, he is no longer suitable to stay here. Therefore, he quickly stopped the persistence of continuing to smash the iron sheet. However, even at this point, he had no intention of directly moving away from the iron sheet. God knows how much strength is left in the flesh and face. So, Li Xia slowly moved 1/10 of the iron sheet away. At the first moment, he did not see the mask of the human body, so he only continued to move 1/10 away. Now, I saw a corner of the mask covered in cracks. It's probably the contour of the left face. Upon seeing this, he removed 2 of the exorcism talismans that were originally attached to the iron sheet and instead placed them on the exposed mask. Based on this corner, he quickly determined the approximate placement of the mask pressed below. Since the position has been determined, it is natural to attempt to extract the 4 soul fragments embedded inside the mask. If I remember correctly, the 4 soul fragment was embedded near the forehead where the scar on my face was located. Given this, he adjusted the direction of the iron sheet's movement, only revealing the forehead of the human body. The remaining parts will continue to be pressed with iron sheets. In this way, the 2 exorcism talismans attached to the mask can be used to suppress this masked monster and consume its demonic power. On the other hand, if the talisman is burning, it indirectly serves as a warning to him. As for the iron sheet, it can assist him to the greatest extent in suppressing this evil monster. A dual approach is more secure. Taking out a small fruit knife from her pocket, Li Xia began to scratch the forehead of the human body in various ways. Fortunately, after a few cuts, he was able to find the location where the 4 soul fragments were hiding. Feeling Li Xia's true purpose, the physical body and face could no longer remain calm. No matter how it struggles, the pressure above firmly suppresses it like a 5-finger mountain, rendering its resistance ineffective. Body, give me body. This is the final voice of unwillingness from the masked monster of the physical human face. Speaking of which, this masked demon without a physical body to drive, when attacking Ali in the original work, relying solely on the power of the mask itself, could not even defeat a little girl with less outstanding strength. Not to mention him at this moment. If it weren't for this, if it weren't for the weakest period when the human body had not yet gained physical form and had not yet grown up, he wouldn't have been so easy to succeed. If this demon had obtained the physical bodies of many police officers, Li Xia said that in the face of the physical face at that time, he will be as far away as possible. I will never provoke anyone. The first 4 soul fragment. After taking out the pale purple fragment, he clearly felt the demonic power of the mask he was pressing down on suddenly decrease, and the struggling force instantly cleared. It seems like losing vitality. But even at this moment, Li Xia still carefully bent and deformed the iron sheet of the iron basin, wrapped it around the mask, and then took off the evil warding talisman from her face and pasted it on the unrecognizable iron lump. Without the 4 soul fragments and being banned by such a combination fist, if this masked demon can still escape and cause trouble, he can only indicate that he is powerless. He really doesn't have a talisman of great destructive power. It's really difficult for him to quickly and completely eliminate this commodity in a short period of time. Low sob, low sob. As soon as the 4 soul fragments were collected, the loud whistle of the fire truck stopped at a place and stopped moving. Obviously, the firefighting truck has arrived at the bottom of the small hill where the Sunset Shrine is located. You came so fast. It'll be here in 2 or 3 minutes. Although the fire station is not far from here, the speed still moved Li Xia. He knows that time is running out. Glancing at the burning wooden house, he immediately took a deep breath and ran back to the 2-story small building where Ali's family lived. First, quickly wet your clothes, cover your mouth and nose with a damp towel, and then grab a large bucket of water that was filled with water from the faucet that was previously released from the sink, and run towards the burning warehouse cabin. Without the threat of physical presence, he rushed in. After entering the increasingly fiery wooden house, I quickly scanned the scene. With just one glance, he locked onto the old man in the corner whose leg was pressed down by a wooden beam. It is Ali's grandfather. Fortunately, this not too thick and very decaying wooden beam was broken and pressed down from it. Otherwise, the old man would have suffered a heavy blow from eating the entire wooden beam, and it is highly likely to disappear directly. The fire is getting bigger and bigger. Li Xia naturally wouldn't stand idly by. After pouring a basin of cold water on the old man, he immediately lifted the broken wooden beam and carried the old man out of the wooden house. The flames inside the wooden house in the warehouse are already very fierce, so it is not suitable to stay here for a long time. After leaving the burning wooden house, several firefighters and a panicked beauty also rushed up. Hurry up and give me a hand, I'll call an ambulance. There's an injured person here. At the moment of seeing the beautiful woman, Li Xia chose to take the lead. As expected, this woman is the mother of Ali, the protagonist of Inuyasha World. Dad. After seeing the unconscious old man, the beautiful woman exclaimed in surprise, and the bag containing vegetables and meat in her hand immediately fell to the ground. With an eager expression on his face, he stepped forward and helped the old man. Dad, wake up. Li Xia saw the situation and secretly said, sure. His figure slipped into the small building of the Sunset home. Calling for an ambulance was one of the main purposes, and the other 7 4-soul fragments from Ali's bedroom were easily taken away. Not right. He actually only took 6 pieces and left 1 for Ali. His conscience is very good. ****PS. Have you noticed that Ali used the power of the 4 soul fragments to shuttle through the bone-eating well in his early days? On the contrary, Inuyasha seems to have no restrictions. At the end of episode 19 of the anime, it is mentioned that Ali cannot cross the bone-eating well after losing the 4 soul fragments. Chapter 5. Parallel Worlds. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Stay on the front line of life, so that we can meet in the future. It's not that he looks down on this fragment, but rather that looking at the entire Inuyasha plot, only Inuyasha, the male lead in the original plot, can ignore the limitations of the bone-eating well and freely travel between 2 worlds. You should know that even the female number 1 in this period needs to rely on the power of the 4-soul jade to shuttle through that well and run at both ends. Every time I shuttle between the two realms, it's because I carry 4-soul fragments on my body. This is fully reflected in the subsequent events of the monster and wild wolf. At that time, Ali, who had lost the 4-soul fragments, attempted to return to the Warring States period through his own bone-eating well, but failed. It was not until the little monster Chibao entered the bone-eating well in the Warring States period with his 4-soul fragments that Ali was able to return to the parallel world 500 years ago. Perhaps the 4-soul fragments are located near the bone-eating well, allowing Ali to use this magical well to travel through 2 parallel worlds with completely different timelines. So, now that I have obtained the 4-soul fragments, can I also use the power of Baoyu to shuttle through that magical ancient well and travel to the parallel world of the Warring States period? Li Xia pondered in her heart. Taking away the required 4-soul fragments, he quickly and quietly left through the back door. After the incident, brush off your clothes and hide deep in your name. Song Yunya and so on, let's temporarily keep it at the sunset home. That thing, he can't afford it now. Finally, looking back at the small wooden house where the bone-eating well was located, Li Xia didn't linger any longer. Behind the sunset shrine is a forest, and across from the forest is a small Western-style building with 6 or 7 floors. A cement road leading up the mountain connects to the foot of the mountain from the side of the small Western-style building. In other words, you can also leave here. Speaking of which, Aligia is quite wealthy and can be called a hidden tycoon. After all, it is possible to have a shrine covering an area of thousands of square meters in Tokyo, which is known as every inch of land, every inch of gold. It can even be said that half of the mountain is owned by the Sunset family. This is not a tycoon, what is it? Of course, when it comes to wealth, the Li family on the peninsula has even surpassed it. After leaving the Sunset Shrine, Li Xia took a taxi and went directly to a small courtyard in the city. This small courtyard covering hundreds of square meters is one of the properties of the Li family in Tokyo. There are pavilions and towers in the courtyard, rockeries and flowing water, bamboo groves and flower beds, and lotus ponds and moonlight. On weekdays, it is taken care of by a few ordinary members of the Li family, and there is no shortage of housemaids. In addition to this courtyard, there are also 2 commercial streets and a food street around the courtyard, and the storefronts are all part of the Li family's secular industry. It is precisely these industries that have enabled the former royal family of the peninsula, the Li family, to be far superior to those financial conglomerates, even though they were not the apparent ones on the peninsula. At the same time, it is these industries that provide the Li family with worry-free food and clothing, and among them, those with talents are able to concentrate on practicing Taoism. Xiaoxia, why did you come back so early today? Just as he got off the car, a middle-aged man greeted him. Li Xia smiled and responded with a smile. I helped my classmates with some things this morning, and when I felt a bit tired, I came back directly. By the way, fourth uncle, could you please help me build a few alloy safes? I'm very useful. Middle age is his father's younger brother. He was one of the unlucky people in his father's generation who lacked cultivation talent. As a result, they became the main figures in their line responsible for managing some secular industries in the Tokyo area. Can be considered a steward in the secular world. It is impossible to say that this fourth uncle is not envious or jealous of his family. After all, there are too many ordinary people like them who are unable to practice because their starting point is too high. Even if you don't do anything, you can still live a prosperous life. But the family system is there, and no matter how unwilling fourth uncle is, he can only be painless unwilling, and can only provide nutrients produced by photosynthesis as the main stem of green leaves. I dare not and will not lose my intelligence to do anything out of line. Otherwise, welcoming him will be the boundless anger of the main pulse. The group of people in the main pulse will not tolerate their authority being challenged. The family system prevents any ordinary member of the clan from disobeying the wishes of the core members who can practice. Ordinary people in the mortal world have unlimited scenery, but they are only qualified as butlers. The core members, hidden behind the scenes, are the masters of the family. This is the iron rule that the practitioner family can maintain for a long time, and it is fundamental. Li Xia is certainly so happy about this. How could he possibly go and create his own rebellion? What size safe do you need? Fourth uncle asked. Li Xia thought for a moment and gave 3 suggestions. Take 2 each, big, medium, and small, and deliver them to my exclusive warehouse. Go back to your own room. He took out a small glass bottle containing 7 4-soul fragments from his chest. One originated from the masked demon's physical body and human face, while the other 6 were found in Ali's bedroom. Speaking of which, the physical human face was able to recover and escape from the seal of the ancestor Ali, thanks to the other 4 soul fragments exerting their power through the air. It was the 4 soul fragments on the forehead of the physical body that resonated with several others, stimulating the masked demon that had already fallen asleep to awaken. When it came to the 4 soul fragment on the forehead of the physical body, Li Xia fell into a long thought. Undoubtedly, the 4 soul fragment held by the masked demon was not formed by Ali after the 4 soul jade shattered by the demon-breaking arrow during the Warring States period. Because the 4 soul fragments held by the physical human face existed hundreds of years ago in modern times and were sealed by Ali's ancestors wearing masks together. It is stored in the burning warehouse of the Twilight Shrine. However, not long ago, Ali was attacked by a 100-legged demon woman who had revived in the bone-eating well, and the complete 4-soul jade was found in the body of the young girl Ali. How can there be a 4-soul fragment and a complete 4-soul gem simultaneously on the same timeline? Therefore, the 4-soul fragment held by the physical human face is definitely not the transformed fragment that Ali shot and exploded. And through this, it can also be determined that there is another shattered 4-soul jade in the modern world. The existence form of the 4-soul jade is somewhat similar to the situation in the Avengers where Iron Man and others went to a parallel world and obtained 6 infinite gemstones from that world. In the Avengers, there are 6 infinite gemstones in both worlds. The Warring States world where Inuyasha is located and the modern world where Ali is located each have a 4-soul jade. This assumption is very bold. But it can best explain why the 4 soul fragments held by the physical human face can resonate with the other 4 soul fragments placed by Ali in the room. Because they seem to have no connection, but in fact they have a close connection. In addition, it also explains why the 4 soul fragments held by the physical human face can perfectly blend with the other 4 soul fragments. It even explains why the fused 4 soul jade, which was born in the ending of the original work, could intervene in the bone-eating well, make the bone-eating well disappear, reach the height of a Chu-Ling Ji-Ling who gave birth to an independent will from the jade, and directly affect the modern world where Ali is located. Everything is caused by the 4-soul jade held by the physical body and human face. This fragment is definitely a variable. Similar to the 6 cosmic gemstones of time, space, soul, power, reality, and soul, Yu reading www.yuyukeangshu.net has become a combination of 2 time gemstones and the other 5 infinite gemstones. Originally, by combining the abilities of 6 gemstones, one could create an infinite glove and then use a snap finger to destroy half of the entire universe's life. What kind of qualitative change will happen when this suddenly adds another one? Okay, those are all too far away from me, not what I should consider now. In his contemplation, he embedded 7 fragments of 4 souls into the talisman pens used for sketching talismans. The 4-soul jade possesses many incredible abilities. Even a small piece among tens or hundreds of pieces has exceptionally powerful functions. Considering that embedding fragments into one's body can increase one's desire, distort one's nature, and rewrite one's will. Even big monsters like Baoxian Ghost will be affected. Therefore, Li Xia values its increasing power and monetization ability more. By using talismans, we can enhance Li Xia's spiritual power when drawing talismans, compensate for his lack of mana, and greatly improve the quality of the talismans he produces. Intermediate talismans that could not have been made originally, perhaps you can also try making them at this time. And talismans are the most important means for Li Xia to settle down now. At present, although I am not suitable for using the power of the 4 soul fragments to simply and roughly enhance my mana, I can improve the power of the finished talisman by improving the quality of the materials required for the talisman. Do whatever comes to mind. P.S. The efficacy of the 4 soul jade, as shown in the picture, won't be further discussed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Chapter 6, 4. Many wonderful uses of soul fragments. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Jade of 4 Souls can not only greatly enhance the demon power of monsters and the magic power of human cultivators. It can also strengthen external objects. For example, the barbarian dragon spear in the original work, and the iron broken teeth of the protagonist in Inuyasha. In order to prevent being affected by the 4 soul fragments, twisted willpower, and even direct control, Li Xia carefully chose to use the power of the Baoyu fragments to enhance the spiritual ink required for the rune brush and draw. Through this transformation and improvement, one can greatly enhance the quality and power of their drawn talismans. And try 1 or 2 without losing a piece of your own flesh. Calm down for half an hour. Keep your own state at an optimal level. At the next moment, Li Xia picked up the commonly used talisman pen on the desk. I don't know if it was his illusion. In the moment he picked up this talisman, he felt that it was 1 point heavier than usual. After being stained with spiritual ink, an indescribable weight appeared even more clearly. For soul fragments, don't let me down. Li Xia murmured a few words, then restrained her mind and followed closely by vigorously mobilizing the already limited magic in her body, injecting the vast majority into the talisman in her hand. The magic was injected into the spiritual ink stained on the tip of the rune along the lines, causing the red cinnabar ink to shine brightly. Seeing this scene, he was both surprised and delighted. It was indeed effective. Immediately dance the talisman pen, stroke the dragon and snake, intending to draw a beginner's powerful talisman in one go. But what disappointed him was that at a point in the process of sketching the talisman, the instantaneous distribution of the force used by the pen tip was uneven, causing the talisman to turn into a layer of flying ash before it had formed. This is an inevitable mistake in the process of drawing symbols. Moreover, the weight of today's talismans is different from before, and they are a bit uncomfortable to use, which further contributed to the failure of the first talisman drawing. Putting down the talisman, Li Xia began to regulate her breathing. In order to draw this powerful talisman, most of his mana has been consumed. That's right. Nowadays, he is just such a vegetable chicken. His talent is so insignificant. If a practitioner has a realm division such as refining qi and building a foundation, he has been practicing hard for 10 years before, which is almost equivalent to reaching the level of half the stage of refining qi. Not even a layer of gas refining can be considered. And the recovery is very slow, usually taking 1 or 2 hours to reach full again. This is precisely the main reason why he drew the lowest level powerful talisman, and whether successful or not, he needed to immediately adjust his breath to restore his mana. This is also one of the important reasons why he has been studying the Li family's talismans for nearly 10 years and has only accumulated 110 talismans. It is also the difficulty that he did not use any spells against the enemy when dealing with the physical human face. It is also a major factor that he covets the power of the 4 soul fragments. His goal in this extraordinary world is immortality, it is eternal life. However, as he can only draw a pitiful low-level talisman every month on average, how can he live forever? Since heaven has given me a chance to travel through rebirth, and since it has brought me to this extraordinary world, I must experience the feeling of eternal life in everything I say. And mastering talismans is my first step towards immortality. Only when I possess many powerful talismans can I have the strength to protect myself, reason with my fists, and compete for what is beneficial to me. Therefore, for the sake of drawing symbols, I have been practicing calligraphy and painting for 10 years. For the sake of drawing symbols, I dream of repeatedly sketching every stroke. Talismans are his confidence. For him at present, it is the foundation of everything. During the breath adjustment, Li Xia drank a secret spiritual liquid from the family that could accelerate the speed of mana recovery. This kind of spiritual liquid with a fragrant aroma is made by refining a type of spiritual spring water mixed with various herbs. The Lingquan aquatic products with relevant functions come from a special Lingquan. Looking at the entire peninsula, this special Lingquan that has been passed down for thousands of years is now only 4. One of them is in the hands of the Fudao Li family. This is also one of the main reasons why the Li family can stand firm. After all, the spiritual spring water in the spiritual spring not only has the ability to refine spiritual fluids that help practitioners restore their mana, but also has many magical effects. For example, long-term consumption of spiritual spring water can help practitioners maintain their youthful and energetic physical state, and can improve their physical fitness to a certain extent. It is said that hundreds of years ago, before the advent of the end of the Dharma era, before the decline of the Lingquan, if someone could monopolize a special Lingquan, there was great hope of becoming an immortal. Becoming a mountain god and earth immortal with a long lifespan is not a problem. Unfortunately, the end of the Dharma era brought an end to that brilliant era of cultivation. With a cup of spiritual liquid in her lower abdomen, Li Xia suddenly felt that her recovery speed had accelerated by 30%. Unfortunately, for low-level cultivators like me and my family, the supply of this spiritual liquid prepared from the spiritual spring water is limited to 3 pots per month. 3 pots, which is about 6 liters. Very little. I have to save money on weekdays. Turning his head to think of the talented individuals in the main meridian, who are allocated half a square every month, his heart became sour. Envy. Wait, the power of the 4 soul fragments can enhance the quality of the Dansha spirit ink. Can we improve the quality of the spirit liquid? Li Xia was immediately moved by the thought of this. He has always had a headache due to the issue of mana recovery. After mana consumption, his recovery is slow, which makes it easier for him to practice various spells with half the effort. After all, those with good cultivation talents have faster cultivation speed, higher cultivation level, more abundant mana, and much faster recovery speed. In this way, they can cast dozens of spells in a day, which can accumulate experience and increase proficiency through multiple spells. On the other hand, he works tirelessly and meticulously, able to cast less than 10 low-level spells every day. This makes him far inferior to other talented individuals in terms of experience accumulation. In the short term, he cannot change or improve his talent. But can he make up for the shortcomings in his own mana reserves and mana recovery efficiency through external objects? Realizing this, Li Xia no longer hesitated. Several fragments of the 4 souls were removed from the talisman and then embedded into a bamboo tube. What is stored in the bamboo tube is the spiritual liquid that helps to restore mana. It needs to be added here that the 4 soul fragment he left for the young girl Ali is the one on the forehead of the human body. The 7 pieces taken away are clean fragments that have been purified by Ali for a long time. In other words, within the 4 soul fragments at this time, there is a situation where the relatively kind, straight spirit completely suppresses the absolutely evil, Chu spirit. As long as he doesn't greedily stuff the 4 soul fragments into his body, there won't be too many hidden dangers. This can be seen from the telepathic ink produced by the painter who can be called the Divine Pen Ma Liang in the original work. The initial telepathic ink in the painter's hand did not intend to devour the master, but instead actively protected the master multiple times. It wasn't until the painter was greedy and allowed the spiritual ink to absorb his own blood that he ended up killing himself. Similarly, the 4 soul fragments that have not been contaminated, embedded in iron broken teeth or barbaric dragon spears, have no signs of backlash. Therefore, For the sake of caution, Li Xia still had people search for a few white mice and test them several times, and found that these mice did not have any bad changes, but rather those white mice had faintly undergone benign changes after transformation. I finally tasted a few bites with some peace of mind. The fragrance in the spiritual liquid is much stronger than before. Taking a small sip of spiritual liquid, Li Xia's eyes immediately widened. This. He has been standing still for half a day, silently amazed. Stupid and lost in thought. Originally, the recovery effect of spiritual liquid has undergone a qualitative change, which is 30 to 50 times better than the initial one. A 4-soul fragment can increase the demon power of middle and lower level monsters by several times in a short period of time. Unexpectedly, these 7 fragments' enhancement effect on low-level spiritual liquid has reached dozens of times after stacking. Sent it. Sent it. If this kind of spiritual liquid is sold to senior members of the clan. No, no, no. Pifu is innocent and blames me. This kind of good thing, I can't say anything before I don't have the matching strength. Chapter 7. Preknowledge and foresight, the future is promising. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. What does an increase in recovery speed by tens of times mean? The intuitive data representation is. It used to take 1 or 2 hours to fully recover, but now it only takes 1 or 2 minutes to recover. After returning to full state, you can naturally continue to try drawing symbols. In this way, the efficiency of Li's talisman drawing has increased by dozens of times. In the future, the efficiency of practicing various spells can also be increased by dozens of times. This is not something that the core geniuses in the family can achieve with their cultivation talents. In the past, those who had excellent cultivation talents had a cultivation speed of almost 10 times that of him. And do anything with half the effort and twice the result. The accumulation of proficiency is very fast. But starting today, the situation has reversed. He will surpass those so-called geniuses several times. The 4 soul fragments can not only enhance the red sand spirit ink required for talismans and paintings, but also help me start from the raw materials used to outline talismans and enhance the quality of the final form of talismans. It can also indirectly increase the speed of my refining talismans and cultivation techniques by improving the efficacy of spiritual fluids. Li Xia pondered and said. I am very pleased and excited about this. However, that's all for now. After all, the 7 4-soul fragments only enhance the efficacy of spiritual liquid, changing only external objects, not directly elevating his talent to become a peerless genius in one fell swoop. Therefore, the assistance for the growth of mana is still limited. If he wants to continue improving his talent, he still needs to consider in the long run. Speaking of which, being able to continue on the path of cultivation in the late Dharma era actually indicates that his cultivation talent is not poor. In the era of the peak of spiritual civilization 500 years ago, his talent was at least of a medium to high level. Due to their intermediate and inferior qualifications, they did not even have the qualification to embark on the path of cultivation in the late legal era. How to solve the problem of cultivation qualifications? Excuse me. Talent is innate, and if there is no great opportunity or great fortune, then a person's qualifications basically determine their upper limit. For example, the female lead Ali, as the reincarnation of Kikyu. For example, the Platycodon itself. 2 young girls were born in Rome. The former, the innate witch's spiritual power can make the jade capital of the 4 souls wary of it, thus sealing most of Ali's spiritual power with some hands and feet. Therefore, at the age of 15, Ali had the confidence to face the big monster directly. The latter, with the help of the hand of the Shirshun puppet, can still easily break through the advanced barrier of the white boy with the demon-breaking arrow in its remaining health state. That is a powerful barrier that cannot be broken even by the red iron broken teeth that specialize in breaking through barriers. They won at the starting line from birth. Or more precisely, it is the starting point of this kind of demon-level arrogance, which is the endpoint that countless people yearn for but cannot reach throughout their lives. In addition to qualification issues, there is also an urgent issue. I don't have much spiritual liquid on me anymore. Li Xia frowned slightly at this. He is only a collateral descendant of the Li family on the peninsula, and the amount of spiritual fluids he can distribute is extremely limited. Previously, the slow speed of mana recovery only allowed him to draw a few talismans per day, but this also helped him save on the consumption of spiritual fluids. But now, with the convenience of high-quality spiritual fluids, his recovery speed has greatly increased, with a maximum of 400 to 500 talismans per day. Originally, this was a good thing. A small cup of high-quality spiritual liquid can help him recover his state 3 or 5 times at most. So, the amount of spiritual liquid he needed to consume increased sharply. From the original limit of only consuming 3 small cups per day, to now requiring nearly 100 cups per day. But there is only a pot of spiritual liquid left in his hand. There is still less than half a month until the next supply from the family. 2 liters of 1 pot of spiritual liquid may only be enough for him to make do with it for an afternoon. Once the spiritual liquid is depleted, he will be knocked back to his original form. After all, a clever woman cannot cook without rice. How good would it be if I had a mouthful of spiritual spring? In that case, I can mix as much spiritual liquid as I need. Li Xia sighed. The next moment, he thought of the parallel world across from the bone-eating well, and his breath suddenly stopped, his mouth slightly opened. In the modern world, almost every spiritual spring has its owner. Those who guard these spiritual springs often have 1 or 2 large families of cultivators. Taking food from the hands of those big families is considered too long. During the Warring States period across from the Well of Edible Bones, many spiritual springs were unowned items. And those spiritual springs that have not dried up until later generations, in the demon world, most of them have not been affected and degraded by the so-called end of the law era at present. This also means that the quality of those spiritual springs themselves is quite high. What astonishing changes will be made in the efficacy of Lingquan water, which is already of high quality, when further improved and enhanced with multiple for-soul fragments. If he occupies such a superior spiritual spring thinking of this, he wished he could put on his wings and kill the demon world of the Warring States period. Wait, maybe I can plan more. Li Xia, who had thought of something else, became even more excited and excited. Since the 2 worlds are interrelated parallel worlds, apart from some variables, most of the surviving spiritual springs in the modern world must have existed during the Warring States period 500 years ago. If I had figured out the specific location of the surviving spiritual springs in the modern world and their related history, and then turned around to search for the demon world across from the bone-eating well, I would definitely have achieved twice the result with half the effort. Perhaps many of them here are occupied by fairies among monsters and humans, but it is hard to guarantee that there are no fish that have escaped the net. In addition, since I am aware of the location of these spiritual springs, I can naturally visit them at designated locations to investigate the situation. When my strength reaches a certain level, I will seize most of it to cultivate my subordinates, or use these cultivation resources to expand my own lineage. In the future, I have great potential to dominate one side and even become the ruler of the entire world. Originally, crossing without golden fingers made him very restless and mentally tired. For 15 years, day and night, calling the system, calling the check.in panel, calling the main deity, calling the medicine elder, but never received any response. Now, with various advantages such as prior knowledge and foresight, he is confident that even without relying on those unreasonable golden fingers, he can go far and climb high. Afterwards, Li Xia asked for 2 days off from the middle school of Shueishan. Devoted oneself wholeheartedly to the task of refining talismans. What he wants to refine is a seal. This is a low-level talisman that beginners do not often use. Can help mages suppress monsters, or seal some monster remains and evil demon knives. Unlike the brief expulsion of evil talismans, seals are used for long-term suppression. Previously, he didn't have the energy to study seals, which were basically useless talismans. As a fifth scumbag on par with Grandpa Ali, he is still very confident in his rank. He relies more on a young and energetic body. Therefore, he devoted more attention to the 5 most commonly used low-level talismans, namely the powerful talisman, the quick and agile talisman, the dispelling evil talisman, the divine wind talisman, and the light body talisman. The powerful talisman increases power output, the quick and agile talisman speeds up nerve reaction and shooting speed, the exorcism talisman can resist monster attacks, the divine wind talisman increases its mobility, and the final lightness talisman reduces its weight and can cooperate with the divine wind talisman to increase escape efficiency. Attack, defense, and escape are all ensured to be complete in all 3 aspects. As for seals and so on, that is a talisman that is suitable for use only after defeating monsters, suppressing or even surrendering demon sword treasures. Li Xia said that with just his small amount, he can still protect himself against 1 or 2 miscellaneous monsters, but let him deal with the demonic sword that devours the master, or eliminate those powerful demons and ghosts, it's better to wash up and sleep. The appearance of physical figures has changed this situation. The physical human face, which is in its weakest stage, is not much stronger than miscellaneous monsters. Ali's grandfather has already proven this. Coincidentally, he bumped into and caught him when he was about to steal a house. Yu reading www.yuyukeangshu.net. However, the physical human face has not yet died completely. Monsters and monsters cannot be judged by common sense. Have you not seen a 100-legged witch resurrected multiple times? The masked demon with a physical human face is similar to a 100-legged witch, but it just remains silent. It can be resurrected. If I could control the physical human face and fully unleash the potential of this monster, perhaps I could become a different kind of god. Speaking of which, using monsters as one's own deity. The family has a heritage in this area. The spiritual liquid was only enough for 1 day, but he took 2 days off. The reason for this is naturally to go back to the peninsula and learn from the family's side. 1 day drawing symbols, 1 day going home to collect wool. After a day of tinkering, I finally managed to draw 3 seals by chance. For these 3 seals, he first pasted one of them onto the mask body of the physical human face, immediately put it into an alloy iron box. Following closely, another one was posted on the surface of the alloy iron box as a safety measure. The third one was posted outside an iron box containing 4 soul fragments as a warning prompt. This thing is naturally useless for the 4 soul fragments. Once the 4 soul fragments exert their power, the seal is a decoration. If the seal can be burned, don't you just tell him that the 4 soul fragments are making monsters. Are there dangerous monsters around them? Xiaoxia, this is tomorrow morning's flight ticket. By the way, what happened? Why are you in such a hurry to go back? During dinner in the evening, the middle-aged man handed over a brand new plane ticket. Li Xia took over. Thank you, fourth uncle. As for why are you in a hurry to go back? He didn't say much. Chapter 8. More monks, less meat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Li family on the peninsula has a long history of inheritance. As early as the Qin and Han dynasties in Kyushu, there was contact with the mainland. At that time, the peninsula was called Silla and belonged to the world of the Park family. At the height of the Tang dynasty in Shenzhou, communication between the two sides became even more frequent. At this time, the peninsula, also known as Goguryeo, was under the control of the Jin family. Later in the Song and Ming dynasties, the communication between the two sides reached its peak. Li Qinggui, the ancestor of the Li family, successfully seized power. Establish a dynasty. It was not until the 20th century that the power of neighboring island countries and major kingdoms around the world infiltrated, and the royal dynasty came to an unsatisfactory end. It is now the year 2000, which is the early 21st century. The three major spiritual families of the Park, Jin, and Lee families have gone into seclusion, which has led to the peculiar situation where the wealthy influence people's livelihoods. Three major families. The Park family is the most mysterious, hidden the deepest, and has an unfathomable heritage. The Jin family has the strongest Mingmian and a wealth of talents. The Lee family originally ruled the peninsula for the longest time, but due to the sudden arrival of the late French era around 1500, it greatly affected the accumulation and sedimentation of the family. Therefore, among the three major families, it is the one with the shallowest foundation. After all, before the end of the legal era, it belonged to the accumulation stage. In the era of the end of the law, it is no longer accumulation, but eating old roots. The Lee family, which rose from the grassroots, only accumulated 300 years. The Park family and the Jin family are different, they are truly millennial families in the world of cultivation. Especially the Jin family, during the most prosperous era of spiritual civilization, ruled the peninsula for nearly 1,000 years, which was a real rule of nearly 1,000 years. During this period, the cultivation resources and land occupied by the search and accumulation were not comparable to those of the Lee family, who only started to exert their efforts later on. Fortunately, the ancestors of the Lee family are quite reliable. Holding on to his Shenzhou father's thigh tightly, he suddenly used this powerful external force to preserve the Lingquan, which still shows no signs of drying up. With this spiritual spring maintaining the lowest level of cultivation system, the lineage of the Li family is not easily severed. Li Xia returned to the tribe, firstly to obtain the inheritance of the refined god, and secondly to obtain more spiritual fluids. The Li family's land is located in a green mountain and green water by the sea. From an external perspective, this is a relatively remote and exclusive village. Many ordinary people who pass through this place never think too much. How could those who cannot see the wonders of this place think that this remote, poor, and quite exclusive village actually hides a huge creature? Within the clan territory. Father and son meet. What's wrong with you, kid? It's only been a few days and you're running home now. Wearing a Taoist robe and a pair of refined glasses, the old father Li Jun frowned. On the dining table meticulously carved out of blue jade, Li Xia, who was burying her head and pulling the rice, slowly looked up and then took out a small bottle from her waist bag. She immediately handed it directly to the cheap father in front of her and said seriously. I found this on the island side. Please check if there is anything wrong. Depart in the morning and arrive home at noon. This is exactly the distance between the island country and the peninsula. After hearing this, Li Jun, the father, was first surprised and then picked up a small bottle to play with. At the moment of purchase, gently shake the bottle to determine what is inside. Then I heard a loud noise coming from within. Without any accidents, most of the liquid inside is something. At first, cheap dad didn't take the liquid in the small bottle seriously. He casually opened the bottle cap, ready to casually check it, and it was over. What is the general level and rank of my son? He knows very well, but can he still come up with something that moves him? Don't be joking. As a result, with the opening of the bottle cap, a strong fragrance gushed out directly from it. In the next moment, the room was filled with a strong fragrance that made people feel comfortable all over and their magic became active. What is this? As the middle-aged Taoist's nose twitched, his eyelids couldn't help but jump, and the casual expression on his face disappeared, replaced by a sense of doubt and uncertainty. Seeing the son across from the jade table smiling silently, with a meaningful smile in his eyes, the middle-aged man immediately restrained his mind and sniffed and gently sucked at the bottle mouth. After taking a light sniff twice, his face became even more peculiar. Upon seeing this, Li Xia suggested, Dad, give it a try and you'll probably know why I rushed back this time. The middle-aged man nodded, thinking that his son had no reason to harm him, and that he was indeed very interested in the liquid in the bottle, so he took a small peck. The familiar taste of the water in the bottle at the entrance gave him a boost. It's not wrong, this is their Li family's secret spiritual liquid. However, why does that unique fragrance become dozens of times stronger? The originally sweet and cool taste now seems to have gone too sweet and become incredibly hot. The entire mouth and taste buds are stimulated like needles. With a gurgling sound in his lower abdomen, immediately, his entire esophagus and stomach were convulsing and trembling, all in hallelujah. A wonderful feeling arises from flying up to the sky and standing shoulder to shoulder with the sun. This was just the taste aspect, and what surprised him even more was the sudden increase in the flow rate of magic within his body by more than 10 times. There is a visual feeling that the tractor's speed has suddenly increased to the speed of a railway train. There is no doubt that the spiritual liquid Li Xia took out was the one he strengthened with 4 soul fragments. Xiao San, how has our spiritual liquid become so delicious and magical? It has increased the healing effect of magic by more than 10 times. Cheap Dad asked with a surprised expression on his face. At this moment, Li Xia also put down her chopsticks, with a hint of seriousness and solemnity on her face. That's all I have to say. Dad, the recipe for the spiritual liquid should only be known to the senior members of the family, right? But why did I find the same spiritual liquid on the island country? The key is that the spiritual liquid formulated by others has a much better effect than the high-quality one formulated by our Li family themselves. Has the senior management of the family already improved the formula? As soon as Li Xia said these words, Cheap Dad's face immediately changed. Impossible. If the senior management improves the formula, we will definitely know a little. Even if this high-quality spiritual liquid is rare and only used on the geniuses of the core main meridian, we collateral branches should receive some news to some extent. The main meridian will not conceal this intelligence. Wait, are you suspecting that our family's spiritual formula has been leaked by some dog that eats inside and outside? That guy even improved the formula and sold it to the island country. Li Juan's eyes gradually widened. The expression of suspicion and anger in his eyes was even more intense. Dad, I only got this much here, and the clue was broken when dealing with a ghost transformed by a little girl. What should we do now? Do we need to report this matter? Li Xia deliberately asked so. Li Jida fell into a long period of contemplation. Firstly, his own son was able to produce this high-quality spiritual liquid and confirmed that it was obtained by the island country. This intelligence must be highly valued. And this intelligence is very important and valuable to the family. Secondly, considering that this son is just a rookie and it is impossible for him to mix such high-quality spiritual liquid on his own, he spontaneously ruled out that it was the young boy who was guiding him in the wrong way. Finally, it is about how to avoid the person who leaked the recipe and how to deliver the intelligence to the top management without causing panic. You're just going to study abroad in an island country and attend junior high school. Why did you encounter such a big deal? Cheap old father's mood is very complicated. Li Xia shrugged and told the well-written story. Dad, I met a monster in the island country. Oh. What kind of monster? It's a monster that appears at night, with a golden body and a tail like a wheat ear, resembling a balloon. When it's active at night, it always floats in mid-air with its eyes closed. By the way, it's always accompanied by children's ghosts. Li Xia described it. That is exactly the monster that Ali has encountered in the modern world these past few days. Although Li Xia did not see it with his own eyes, it did not prevent him from borrowing this monster to talk things over. After hearing his son's description of the monster, Li Juan narrowed his eyes. You should have encountered a demon-worshipping child spirit. What is the child spirit of worshipping demons? Li Xia pretended to know nothing. Li Juan saw the situation and briefly explained 2 sentences. Chonyao Tongling is a kind of monster born from the soul of children. It will play with the newly dead children while playing the flute of requiem, while protecting these children from the harm of other monsters. Until those children ascend to heaven. Speaking of which, the Chongyao Tongling is actually a very gentle monster when he doesn't open his eyes. But if the souls of those children are too fixated on negative emotions such as resentment, unable to rest, and unable to ascend to heaven, the originally gentle demon-worshipping child spirits will open their eyes and become vicious and irritable hell summoners, sending those lonely souls and wild ghosts with too much resentment to hell. I see. That abyss that looks endless leads to hell. Li Xia looked scared after a while. What? Have you ever seen the scene where the demon-worshipping child spirit opens the hell passage? Cheap Dad raised his eyebrows. Li Xia nodded confidently. Well, I almost jumped down to rescue that child. Silly kid, don't be so kind in the future. Dad said with a moved expression. So Dad, can bringing back this news be considered a big achievement? Count it. Of course count it. You have made great contributions to the family this time. Whether it's this high-quality spiritual liquid, Yu reading www.yuyukeangshu.net, or the news of the demon-worshipping child spirit, it's worth the clan elder's personal intervention. Don't worry, the old folks above cannot do without your benefits. Your father and I will also benefit from it. Can fathers also benefit from it? Of course. Li Xia immediately grinned and she saw her elegant father's confident expression. He took out such a little spiritual liquid reinforced by the 4 soul fragments, in order to obtain sufficient spiritual liquid from the top of the family in one go with this false but absolutely important intelligence. With these spiritual fluids, he should be able to withstand the most difficult period. To reveal the intelligence of the appearance of the demon-worshipping child spirit in the island state, we want to alarm some powerful clan elders in the clan. Nowadays, monsters have almost disappeared, and powerful monsters are extremely rare. Although the Chongyao Tongling may not be considered very dangerous, it has the ability to open the hell channel and restrain the target. This kind of weak and practical monster is most suitable for subduing as a style god. Some old people in the clan who never leave the world are likely to move out of the mountains and subdue demons upon hearing the wind. The scene of On site teaching him how to subdue monsters and contract as the god of style is undoubtedly extremely rare. A few true or false news can not only help him, but also help the clan elders and strengthen the family, which in turn benefits the cheap father to some extent. It can be said that there are many birds with one stone. He has no reason not to try such a good thing. Sure enough, on the afternoon of the day the news was sent, 3 elderly antiques who were over 80 years old came together to visit. Is the news of Chongyao Tongling true? The 3 elders all showed an uplifting expression on their faces. In this era of the end of the Dharma, it is really difficult to find a monster to subdue and become one's own deity. Many monks have little meat. Chapter 9, Little Evil Spirit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 clan elders, my son has provided this important news. According to the clan rules, should we give a certain reward? Cheap Father Li Jun spoke up to argue for a way out. Upon hearing this, the 3 elders exchanged a glance and their gaze fell on the young man Li Xia. Little one, what do you want? The 3 major clan elders have decided that as long as the conditions proposed by the younger generation in front of them are not too excessive, they can all agree. Li Xia thought for a moment and immediately fought for some benefits for her own father, giving back to her biological father's years of upbringing and education. Later, a request was made to learn the Shirshan technique and to require a large amount of spiritual liquid to assist in cultivation, the latter being the main purpose. Do you learn the contract method of Shirshan? Among the 3 elders, one frowned slightly. The Shirshan contract is another core inheritance of the family, which is an advanced form technique used in combination with talismans. All along, only the heavenly pride of the main pulse can learn. Auxiliary branches are not eligible for learning. However, the other 2 were straightforward and decisively broke the rule that originally only served the core executives. Sure. As long as you lead us to find that demon-worshipping child spirit, and whether we succeed or fail in capturing it, we will teach you the contract law of the Shirshan. As for the spiritual liquid, we promised you a supply of 2 sides per month. Little one, what do you think? The reason why there are 2 sides: it's natural to look at Li Xia's biological father and the 3 young people under his knee. The father and son shared equally, which happened to be half a square meter per person per month, equivalent to giving a small portion of the main benefits to a family of 4. This kind of effort is insignificant. Thank you 3 clan elders. Li Xia readily accepted. As one of the ordinary practitioners in the clan, he can only enjoy 3 pots of 6 liters of spiritual liquid per month. However, 6 liters of spiritual liquid, even if it is an enhanced version of high-quality spiritual liquid, and he tries his best to save usage, he can just make do with it for a day and a half. This is still his current situation, where his mana is low and his recovery is not that difficult. After his mana greatly increased and his strength skyrocketed, not to mention the 6 liters of spiritual liquid that allowed him to sustain a day and a half of high-intensity training, could he hold on for half a day. Therefore, he has no intention of sharing any of the 2 spiritual fluids with anyone. How about we set off now to the island country to search for the demon-worshipping child spirit in case of long dreams at night? Good kid. The 3 elders appreciated Li Xia, who had no procrastination, a little more. So, on the flight to the island country in the afternoon, there were 4 more figures, old and young. At the same time. Island country, Sunset Shrine. Ali, who had just returned from the Warring States monster world across from the bone-eating well, hurriedly went straight to the home of his elementary school classmate Xiao Wu, with his younger brother Qiao Tai. This family used to have a family of 3. They are 10-year-old Jinyo as the older sister, 8-year-old Xiaowu as the younger brother, and the mother of 2 children. The one who maintains this small family is naturally the mother, who has worked hard to pull up the 2 children. But a few months ago, a fire broke out at home. Sister Jinyo was burned alive by the fire and died in the wardrobe of her younger brother Xiaowu's bedroom. This made the older sister's resentment persist after death, and she deeply resented her weak and sickly younger brother Xiaowu. And with the passage of time, this resentment not only did not fade, but also became increasingly heavy. This further limits the true cause, preventing it from ascending to heaven, and ghosts remain stuck in the human world. During this period, a demon-worshipping child spirit found the soul of Jinyo. While playing the calming flute to soothe the children, trying to let go of their obsession and rest in peace, they silently guarded the little one and witnessed how the little girl walked step by step to the edge of the abyss. Qiao Tai, did you ask your sister before if she saw the evil spirit, right? Ali pulled his younger brother Qiao Tai and asked. Upon hearing this, Xiao Jingtai nodded. Yes, sister. I think Ao seems to have been possessed by evil spirits. Ao has been unconscious since the fire a few months ago. At the beginning, the classmates in the class often visited him, but some strange things happened. For example, some students would inexplicably fall down the stairs after visiting him, while others almost got hit by a car after leaving the hospital. Once or twice, no one feels anything, but similar things happen one after another, and even every student who visits Ao will encounter them. Everyone is afraid that unfortunate things will happen to them, so they dare not go to the hospital to see Wu again. Qiao Tai recounted what he had seen and heard. Because of him, he almost got hit by a car at that time. This left him with lingering palpitations. Therefore, the memory is profound. Is that so? Upon hearing this, Ali felt lost in thought and pondered for a while before speaking out and asking. Do you know what happened to his sister Jinyo? A few months ago, a fire broke out in their house, and his sister was burned to death. It is said that the aunt only knew that Wu was at home, and did not know that Wu's sister was actually hiding in the wardrobe of Wu's room. Therefore, after the house caught fire, the aunt risked being burned by the flames and rushed back home, only rescuing Wu, who had fainted from the smoke on the bed. If the aunt knew that Wu's sister was also at home, she would definitely have rescued him too. During their conversation, the siblings went downstairs to the room where the fire had once occurred. "Sister, that's where it is. All and his family are on the 5th floor." Ollie looked up, his eyes flickering with sadness. Then it became increasingly firm. After learning about some of the situation of Jinyo, she had the idea of helping the little girl out of sympathy and pity. Especially after learning about the demon-worshipping child spirit from Grandpa Mingjia, an old flea who has lived in the demon world for over 2,000 years. Once the seemingly kind and harmless monster is known, the little girl will not be unable to ascend to heaven simply by opening her eyes in closed-eye mode. At that time, he will definitely be taken to hell by the rampaging demon-worshipping child spirit. This is not the result she wants to see. "Sister, that house is also very strange. As long as someone comes to renovate that house, there will inevitably be accidents. So even now, that house is still full of traces of being burned by fire like it is now. Just like a few months ago, there has been no change." The next moment, the accident really happened. I saw a withered flower pot on the balcony, suddenly floating out of the air, and then began to fall freely towards the siblings. "Danger!" Ollie exclaimed in surprise. Following closely behind, he grabbed his younger brother and quickly dodged, protecting him under his body. Evil spirits. The sunset grass was so scared that its face turned green. Immediately, his eyes turned white and he passed out. In fact, this is his experience in dealing with such emergencies multiple times. Because as long as he quickly pretends to be dead, the evil spirit, who likes to cause accidents in the dark, will not make things difficult for him. Being as witty as him, he is the classmate who visits Wu the most times. Wouldn't he have no experience at all? Ollie, however, did not understand the gates and paths here, and instead began to blame himself for his recklessness. Chow Tai. As her younger brother lay on the ground swaying, a little girl wearing a winter cotton coat appeared beside her. "It is precisely because." "Why are you doing this?" Chapter 10. The Resentment of Evil Spirits. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Aren't you Xiaowu's sister? Why do you hate him so much? Ollie asked very angrily. Dealing with one's own family, where there may be hidden secrets, it can actively affect innocent people around, and even anger those kind-hearted children who visit their classmates. Not only does it push people down the stairs and injure them, but it is also excessive to push people towards the center of the road at red lights. This kind of behavior is really terrible. Such a child is not cute at all. You have to worry. Anyway, I will definitely kill Xiao Wu, who took everything from me. Mom hates me because of Xiao Wu. Mom only saved Xiao Wu in the big fire and didn't save me. She must not like me. It's all Xiao Wu's fault. I turned my back and said coldly. How could you do this? Ollie really doesn't understand this child. But she also realized that there must be some misunderstanding among them. Because the little girl's words were full of jealousy, with a hint of the child's desire for maternal love. I think the little girl always avoids her own mother's pranks. Maybe there's a misunderstanding between mother and daughter. Jinyo, if you have any resentment or something hard to let go of, you can tell me and I will convey it to your mother. Your mother cannot see you, who is now only a spiritual body, and cannot communicate with you, but sister, I can do it. Maybe after everything is said, everyone can understand each other. Ollie said optimistically. Immediately, he became even more comforting. Also, let go of your obsession and never do anything evil or wrong again, otherwise, you will completely become an evil spirit. But these words made the little girl even more excited. There was no misunderstanding. I'm just a child that nobody wants. In my mother's eyes, there is only Xiaowu and not me at all. Jinyo, your mother is very gentle. She has always cared about you, don't let your mother be sad anymore. Ollie is eager to explain. During her brief interaction with the mother, she could see to some extent the mother's self-blame and pain. A mother who is so gentle is unlikely to be a severely biased mother. But Kujinyo became even more angry and impatient. Stop talking. Don't interfere with me anymore, otherwise I'll even kill you together. As if to prove one's strength, after disappearing from the original position, large trees and shrubs in the surrounding flower beds were uprooted by intangible and intangible forces, flying up tens of meters in mid-air. Then, they were heavily thrown in front of Ollie by a huge force. Smash out shallow pits on the cement floor. Ollie was startled and instinctively protected his younger brother, Chow Tai. And the grass on the ground was really scared out by now. Mom, there are really evil spirits. Still Awu's sister. After the commotion subsided, Ollie, who had been using her own body to protect her younger brother Sunset Grass Tai, looked up and opened her eyes to look around her. After seeing the devastated garden downstairs, even she couldn't help but bite her lips and remain silent for a long time. Human beings are too insignificant in front of these ghosts and monsters. The obsession formed after the death of just a 10-year-old girl, after several months of sedimentation, can achieve such a degree and cause such intuitive destruction. What kind of destructive power will those evil spirits with greater obsession possess? Combined with the incident 2 days ago, when the monster sealed by our ancestors hundreds of years ago broke the seal and attacked our grandfather, as well as the inexplicable loss of 6 fragments of the 4 souls left at home, leaving only 1 left at the foot of the bed. Combining these monster events happening around her, a seed quietly planted in her heart. It seems that the modern world I am in is not as peaceful as it appears on the surface. After sending Chow Tai back to the Twilight Shrine, she quickly went to the hospital. Jinyo's younger brother Xiaowu has been unconscious in the hospital bed for several months and has not yet woken up. She doesn't believe that there is no real reason behind it. And this little girl, who had been holding grudges for a long time, had previously made it clear that she wanted to kill Xiaowu. She couldn't watch this tragedy happen without knowing it. I can't watch Jinyo continue to make such mistakes. Outside the hospital where Xiaowu is located. A small ghost that ordinary people cannot see floats in mid-air. It is precisely because the little girl looked angrily at a hospital ward, at her own little brother lying on the bed, and at her kind and gentle mother by the bed. Her lips couldn't help but murmur to herself. Tonight, after Mom comes home, I'll kill her favorite little Wu. Behind Jinyo, there was a demon-worshipping child spirit with squinting eyes. After the little girl really decided to kill her younger brother, the demon-worshipping child spirit behind her, whose originally narrowed eyes, suddenly widened a lot and became half-squinted. Previously, Jinyo used to scare others like a prank, and although there were injuries to others, it did not cause real casualties. But now it's different. After her soul became increasingly dark, the closed-eyed demon-worship spirit, which focused on guiding and soothing, quickly transformed into the open-eyed demon-worship spirit, which was imprisoned and punished. Good and evil only exist in one thought. Time flies by. Night soon fell. Ah Wu's mother, are you going back now? A familiar nurse asked with a smile. After hearing this, Jinyo and Xiaowu's mother smiled and bowed to the friendly nurse. Yeah, see you tomorrow. She lost her husband many years ago and her eldest daughter a few months ago. Now, she relies solely on her only son in the hospital bed as her spiritual support. She couldn't imagine how desperate she would be if her son also left her. As the mother was about to step out of the hospital gate, Ollie arrived in time. Auntie, excuse me. Ollie summoned the mother who was about to leave. Are you Cao Tai's sister? It's me. That auntie, I'm sorry, could you please tell me some true reasons for my passing? I know it's difficult, but auntie, please. It is impolite to ask a mother about the past of a deceased child. Without any accidents, the mother in front of her was greatly surprised upon hearing these words. To Ali's surprise, the mother not only did not get angry about this offense, but also showed a hint of guilt and self-blame. Did you feel it too? Hey. Auntie, are you I know. The evil spirit that everyone has been talking about, who has been causing accidents, is actually the truth. Although I cannot see her, I am very sure it is her. And I know that she is still lingering around me and Awa with resentment. By the way, I apologize for causing trouble to Chow Tai and many of his classmates who came to visit Ah Wu because of the truth. If you want to know anything, just ask me. As long as I know, I will tell you the truth. Now, in other words, Ollie was shocked. Ghosts are entities that all mortals cannot see. But the mother said she could feel it. Maternal love can be really magical at times. Afterwards, Ollie understood the beginning and end of the story like a story. It turned out that on that day, due to the sudden high fever of Jinyo's younger brother Xiaowu, this mother did not go to school as scheduled to attend Jinyo's parent observation day. Therefore, Jinyo felt that his mother only liked Xiaowu, so he ran away from home in anger. This mother also thought that Jinyo had gone out to relax as usual, and she didn't pay much attention to Yu reading www.yuyukeungshu.net. Unexpectedly, when this mother went out to buy groceries, she really went home and didn't listen to her younger brother Xiaowu's advice. She put the scarf on the stove to bake. I hid in the wardrobe of my younger brother Xiaowu's bedroom, and even asked him not to tell his mother that I was hiding in the wardrobe. I want to make my mother worry. As a result, the scarf was ignited. And Jinyo happened to have fallen asleep in the wardrobe long ago. When Jinyo woke up, the whole house was already surrounded by a big fire. During this period, because the mother did not know that her daughter was still in the wardrobe at home, she struggled with her hands and was severely burned. She only rescued her son Xiaowu, who was bedridden with a high fever and had been smoked unconscious. It wasn't until the fire brigade extinguished the fire that the little girl in the wardrobe was discovered dead. It turns out that there are indeed many misunderstandings between your mother and daughter. As soon as I thought about how my deceased soul couldn't be comforted, I kept hating and thinking that my mother only liked my younger brother and didn't like her. This is not saving oneself, causing oneself to be burned to death by the fire. As a result, destruction has been carried out for several months. Do not let anyone approach my younger brother Xiaowu. Recently, I have been thinking more about killing Xiaowu. Thinking of this, Ollie breathed a sigh of relief and became anxious. Just as she was thinking of finding Jinyo to explain everything. On the 6th floor of the hospital, the lighting in a ward suddenly made a sizzling sound, followed by a loud explosion. The originally bright room suddenly fell into darkness. It's Xiaowu's room. Xiaowu's mother and Ollie Jean both changed their faces. Hurry upstairs. On the other end, Xiaowu's family is located. The 3 elders and 1 child have come here by following their footsteps. 3 clan elders, this is it.